So we finished up Little Rock, and it was an amazing year. As Regina said, we had this incubator of being in an environment with other folks who were planting churches. They went to places like Louisville, Kentucky, Raleigh, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, Denver, Colorado, and we were here in Boston. And we moved to Boston. Jordan was 3 months old at the time, and we arrived in Roslindale, and to our excitement, we were getting ready to move in. The blessing is the Masons moved in 2 weeks after us as well to Roslindale. And so here we are in this new city, getting ready to start life together, not knowing what God is going to do, but just really believing by faith that He would do something exponential. And so this was June of 2006. July 2007, we said for the first month, we just want to continue to learn the city. We knew that this was a new place for us, and so we wanted to find grocery stores and doctors and dentists and all that good stuff. Anything that you would do in moving to a new city. I think later that summer, we actually had a cookout. And what we did is we said, let's just, the people that we know, that we've been able to meet in a short time, let's just get them together over to our house for a cookout. And at that initial gathering, Heather and Vicky came out. We met Heather and Vicky because we spoken at Harvard. They had a Bible study for graduate students. And at this Bible study, we just shared the vision. And Heather and Vicky decided to come and check things out. And after they came over, we had some other friends who had come over as well. And we thought, Lord, okay, like we see you doing something. We see you putting some pieces together. And mind you, before moving, we had 3 relationships here in the city, 3 friends here in the city. The friend that I mentioned earlier who was at Harvard. We had another friend that we met years ago with the Impact Movement. And we had another friend who was in Little Rock actually and moved to Boston at the same time because he and his girlfriend was going to graduate school and he was going to do ministry here in the area. And so as we moved here and continued to build relationships, one of the things we said is let's see if we can get a Bible study going, just to study the Word and get together with people. And as we started this Bible study, none of them showed up. I mean, one guy, we called him several times, and he didn't call us back for 6 months. One couple, they said that they couldn't commit to it, and so we felt sort of deflated because we had sort of we tried to set up the study that just didn't pan out, and it was very challenging. We knew that we didn't want to start Heart Change in the first 6 months or so of us being here, but we did have this picture in our mind that we would be able to at least gather a handful or 2 of people who we could pray with and encourage and just really do life with together. And so that was one of a couple of disappointments and a couple of just challenges that we had at the beginning of our time here in Boston.
I can remember as we moved and kind of set up shop, you know, we were setting up our homes, and as Jua said, we needed to find our grocery store and things of that nature. I had to find 4 specific places just to make sure that I would thrive in Boston. So I Googled Walmart, Target, Chick-fil-A, and Cracker Barrel. Once I realized those 4 places were within a half hour for me, 40 minutes. I do. Okay, all right, this is, you know, not only is the ministry going to be my focus point, you know, my focal point, but I'm going to be able to have a couple of those comfort zones from the South. Just the comfort food, the comfort areas, you know, that would remind me of home. So we did. We set up shop. We started to build relationships. And those 3 friends that we had here were 3 of many that I think we started to just begin building relationships with them, friendships. I think after those initial disappointments, you know, we kind of realized, all right, we've got more people that we're going to meet, we're going to connect with. My mom told me that Jordan, our baby girl at the time was going to be the Boston icebreaker. I remember her saying that because Boston is a cold area, and we were getting ready to head into winter time. That year, 2006, and she said Jordan is a bubbly, friendly baby, and she's going to attract people to you. And she did. I would take her out in the stroller and stroll along the streets of Roslindale and West Roxbury and Jamaica Plain, and I'd just have random conversations with other moms, sharing the vision. Oh, you don't have an accent, people would say to me. Where are you from? Virginia. Oh, why are you in Boston? And it was a great segue. People set themselves up for us to talk about heart change. The name Heart Change, I remember, as Jua, you can probably share more of the story, just how God laid on his heart of the reason why we're here is to see God change hearts and transform the minds of people so that they would live out their calling for him. And I remember when we were sitting with the Masons in Virginia and we were trying to determine Heart Change Fellowship, church, Heart Change, what else with Heart Change, and Mary and Tamika weighed in on different ideas, and just those early days of brainstorming and being thinking partners together. We had a lot of fun, just really trying to flesh out what this movement of people was going to look like in coming to Boston, and so we got here and we started building those relationships. And some of the existing ones, as Dua said, it didn't pan out, and that was tough. It started to the reality of the dream started to come together and kind of collide a little bit. I think in some of those early days, as we were trying to flesh things out, I remember some of the women in Little Rock encouraging me, some of the elders' wives. Who'd been 35-year veterans in ministry, encouraging me to let Jua have the space to really think and plan, and not to get too engaged in a way that was gonna, I don't know, in a way that was really going to, or just smother. Because I can be okay, what are we gonna do next? Okay, what do you think about this? And what about this? And what about this? And I'm glad I had those voices of wisdom for me, as well as my mom, being a 30-year veteran in ministry. Just older women, just kind of saying, pace yourself, because you can get really excited, and then when things don't work out the way you may want it to, you can really become disappointed and discouraged, and you don't want the discouragement of ministry to really, set the stage for the rest of your years. Right. So I heard it, but it's one thing to hear it, and then it's another thing to actually walk in that. And we had some those initial disappointments with some of those friendships. And then I think internally, the four of us, as we were trying to flesh things out and figure things out, I think because we weren't really understanding what our roles were going to be at the time and our different responsibilities, all we knew was we needed to build relationships. But then how was the church framework going to be built? So, the four of us really trying to figure out what our roles were going to be and our responsibilities. I think we started to just wrestle a little bit internally with our own selves, but then as a team, because Marion and Jua were really trying to figure out this pastoral direction and how the leadership was going to work. And Tamika and I are trying to work out what the partnership was going to look like with the pastors and as their marital partners, but then also as their ministry partners. And because there wasn't a lot of definition early on, we really started to feel some tension within our friendship, within our ministry relationship. And not to the degree of like, oh, we're checking out, but just to a sense of, just to the degree of, man, what's going on? We can't reach out and build the relationships that we want to see fleshed out and coming to the Bible study and becoming a core group. And then our initial core group, our initial core team is really having some tension. And so we kind of had to just kind of take a step back. For me, my heart had to take a step back of, all right, Lord, my expectations aren't being met. And then I think, as we were dealing with the ministry tension and just really trying to wait and see what God was going to do, then we also had personal conflict or a personal challenge, if you want to say it was personal challenge, with getting pregnant with Josiah.